Anthrax was like this little oasis. You got there in the parking lot, and there were, you know, all tons of punk rock kids, and everybody's like listening to music in the parking lot. It was great. It was like you finally fit in. You're home.
The Anthrax, DIY, for the people, of the people, and by the people.
I mean, Anthrax really was like the island of misfit toys.
What happened was, so around 1981, Sean and I were just going constantly to all these clubs, and Sean just said, basically on a lark, you know, let's see what we can do. And then, you know, I dared Sean to find a realtor that would rent to us, and sure enough, he found a space in Stamford.
You know, we were taking a chance, but it was one of those things where it made it kind of exciting for us too, and if we can get away with it, like, okay, that's just going to be incredible.
Suicidal tendencies, circle jerks, 7 seconds, DOA, no control, asexuals, stretch marks, adolescence, just about anybody that was anybody at that time. Well, of course, Black Flag, they shut us down. Yeah.
Anthrax there was a certain magic to that club because it was a basement. It was in the basement of an art gallery. It was tiny. It was like, it wasn't bigger than this apartment. And the stage was this high.
And, you know, we're playing our set, and I decided to, you know, dramatic bass player, jump up, little realizing that the ceiling was about this far over my head. So I jumped up and cracked my skull on the ceiling.
I just, like, one of the most vivid things that I remember about the shows there was just how freaking sweaty I was. I mean, you'd come out of there just drenched. Your shirt would just be like hanging off you. The neck would be like stretched down to the middle of your chest from people pulling on your shirt and everything. Sometimes you'd have blood and you'd like wonder, oh, I don't think it's mine. I guess it's somebody else's, you know.
I remember that, you know, this one guy, you know, I don't know whether he jumped off the stage or somebody landed on him and broke his leg, but he was in the office and he was like, look, when that ambulance gets here, you know, get me outside because I'm just going to tell my parents that I was skateboarding. I'm not going to be known as the guy that closed down the Anthrax.
To an outsider, it looked like a riot. But really, most of the time, I want to say 85% of the time, you know, if a kid fell down, you scoop them up, you know, so, because you didn't want to see him get trampled to death.
You almost can't sum up what happened back then and what it meant. You'd have your regular world like during the week, and then it became a freak on the weekends, I guess.
That club, no exaggeration, literally saved my life. You know, I was looking for something like friends and a scene that I could relate to, like just desperately looking for something. And when I found that place, it was like I found it, you know what I mean? It was such an incredible place.
It was just more like you had a feeling of camaraderie when you went there, like everybody was cool, nobody was judging you. You were all there for the same reason, just to enjoy the music, hang out, and you know, you just felt comfortable.
Anthrax was a part of so many bands being created. If the Anthrax didn't exist, hundreds of bands would have never have existed.
I was scared. I had never seen anything like that, and you know, it was so tight in there and dark, and it was spooky. I thought everybody might hurt me. You know, I was sort of just this little girl who didn't know, you know, I was into the Bangles.
What I do remember is when we went to the small Anthrax to the big Anthrax, we went from getting paid nothing, and then one day Brian from the big Anthrax, he's like, okay, here's $500. We were like, what? You're gonna pay us $500 for one show? Oh my God!
Hardcore Pride!
When we were in the middle of it, it was special, but in hindsight, I look back on it and just see how remarkable and special it was. You know, not just the music, but the fact that all these people came together to create this, and in suburban Connecticut, of all places.
I would definitely be a different person today if the Anthrax didn't exist. You know, it formed who I was. My relationships with friends and everything. I'm getting married in August. Everybody that's in my wedding party that's not like a relative of mine is somebody from the Anthrax.
It was the only thing happening of its kind on the East Coast at that time period. That was it. It was legendary. touring bands wanted to play there. People all over the country and in Europe and everywhere knew that it existed. It was a one-of-a-kind, one-of-a-time thing. Like, that couldn't happen today. The timing was perfect.